The Russian Federation has no replacement for strategic bombers. We are talking about the astronomical figures of damage after the strikes that were carried out by Ukraine on June 1st. This was stated by the editor-in-chief of the specialized military publication Defense Express Oleg Katkov on air at Kiev 24. A strategic bomber costs some astronomical figures. It is not even measured in money, especially for the Russian Federation. To understand, relatively speaking, a modern strategic bomber is about prices of more than $1 billion per side, for one plane, because very few of them are produced. The Tu-160 is a plane that was developed in the Soviet Union. According to various estimates, there are up to 18 of them left in the entire Russian Federation, he said. According to him, for example, the Russians no longer produce the Tu-95. The only replacement that they can still partially make is to take the Soviet airframe and try to assemble a new plane from the Soviet fuselage. But they have nothing new. Katkov noted that all that the Russians have in terms of new developments is a drawing, an approved sketch of a new strategic bomber. There is nothing except this sketch, there is no replacement, that is, these are irretrievable losses, the expert noted. With this, Ukraine saved Europe from the attack of the Russian army for a certain period of time. Recall, Ukraine carried out one of the largest covert operations of the war, attacking Russian airfields with kamikaze drones in a special operation codenamed Spider Web. According to a Ukrainian intelligence official who wished to remain anonymous, the operation was possible thanks to a unique scheme for delivering drones into enemy territory, the Washington Post reports. According to the data, FPV drones filled with explosives were smuggled into Russia and hidden in trucks and under the roofs of buildings. After a command, special containers were opened remotely, from where a swarm of drones flew out to attack airfields. The operation was prepared for more than 18 months under the personal leadership of President Zelenski, the official said. The attacks could have destroyed the Tu-95 strategic aircraft, which carry long-range cruise missiles, and the A-50 airborne radars that coordinate Russian aviation. If confirmed, it would be one of the most serious blows to the Russian Air Force's capabilities since the war began. Videos released by Ukrainian special services show explosions and fires at one of the Russian airfields, as well as the destruction of aircraft. Delegations from Russia and Ukraine met in Turkey on Monday for the second round of direct peace talks in just over 2 weeks, although expectations were low for any significant progress on ending the 3-year war after a string of stunning attacks over the weekend. According to Associated Press, the Ukrainian delegation was led by Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, officials said. Vladimir Medinsky, an aide to Russian leader Vladimir Putin, headed the Kremlin team, Russian state media reported. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan chaired the talks at the city's Sirigan Palace and gave an opening speech to mark their start. Recent comments by senior officials in both countries indicate they remain far apart on the key conditions for stopping the war.
Discussions about Russia often raise the same question. After 3 years of war and colossal losses in Ukraine, is it really possible that Vladimir Putin will dare to attack the combined might of NATO? It is time to close this question. This is stated in an article by Bloomberg columnist Mark Champion. I recently spent a day with a group of generals and officers from about 20 countries. They were gathered at the UK's Royal United Services Institute to discuss the arrival of the Army Corps. These are the large military formations that were considered redundant after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 and are now, thanks in large part to Putin, relevant again. My main takeaway from the meeting: those who will have to fight are not asking whether the threat of a Russian attack on NATO is real. They are asking where, when, and in what form will it happen, and they are not wondering what Donald Trump will or will not do. Their main concern is how little time they may have to prepare. At the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, NATO commanders were as surprised as everyone else by the clumsiness of the Russian offensive on Kiev. The best Russian troops and equipment were destroyed, but NATO is still alarmed. The new estimate of how long it might take Putin to prepare an attack is downright scary. Danish intelligence estimates that Russia would need just 6 months to prepare a local attack, 2 years for a regional Baltic war, and 5 years for a wider European conflict. Putin's fighting force at the front is now twice as large as it was when he launched the invasion in 2022, and he continues to recruit new fighters. Weapons and ammunition production has increased dramatically. Experience with advanced Western weapons like HIMARS has given the Russians ways to neutralize them. Again and again I heard something like admiration for the speed with which Russian forces have learned and adapted in Ukraine. In the area of drones and electronic warfare, Russia is probably ahead of NATO. The war has proven that a small number of highly effective drones cannot match the impact of their sheer numbers and adaptability. Less obviously, Russia is also improving the accuracy and survivability of its cruise and ballistic missiles. The Iskander, a rough analogue of the American ATACMS, has become difficult to intercept even for American Patriot missiles. It is used to hit everything from HIMARS launchers to Ukrainian command posts. Most sobering for Western generals is Russia's continued display of near-total indifference to casualties, which gives Putin and his generals a freedom of action that their NATO counterparts lack. Putin is believed to be seeking to restore Russia as a great power in Europe, and will therefore continue to try to subjugate former colonies and break NATO. There is no need to invade Poland to achieve this. The easiest way to destroy NATO is to discredit Article 5 on collective defense, which is its foundation. Article 5 gives Europe's smaller nations confidence, but it is based on trust in the willingness of others to act, and that is NATO's fragility. It would only take a dirty attack on Estonia, for example, to undermine that trust, and Putin could do that even now. European leaders deciding how to respond would have to consider the significant risks before agreeing, he said.